Today, we're going to explore a rather profound and, I think, challenging text. It's called the New Source Heart Sutra. It presents not just a spiritual discipline, but a very stark diagnosis of the human condition itself. And it all begins with this single foundational statement. Just let that sink in for a moment. Up to this point, humanity is still in its childhood. It's an incredible claim, really. It suggests that everything we've ever done, all our history, our art, our wars, it's all just the work of a species that hasn't yet grown up. So, what on earth does the sutra mean by that? I mean, is that an insult? Or is it a diagnosis? Well, the text treats it as a critical observation. It's the necessary starting point, you see, for understanding not just who we are right now, but who we have the potential to become. And this brings us to its first major idea, this notion of humanity's enduring childhood. The fundamental diagnosis is that we are in a kind of prolonged infancy. The argument is that while we've become incredibly clever, our underlying wisdom, our maturity just hasn't kept up. The source makes a really startling comparison here. It says, from our earliest days, we learned how to manipulate the world around us, how to breed plants, how to domesticate animals. And then it says we mastered another, very similar art, the art of capturing believers, of gathering followers, a practice that yields what it calls these terrifying returns of worship and devotion. All right, so if we're stuck in this childhood state, what's keeping us there? Well, the sutra points a finger directly at the very structures we build. It argues that our social groups, our religions, our political parties, you name it, can actually be the very things holding us back from growing up. And for this, the text gives us a key term, faith function products. Now, it sounds a little technical, but the idea is simple. These are the tools, the ideologies, the promises, the rituals that groups use to attract people and keep them. The sutra claims that because these products were born from our childhood era, they're often of, quote, poor quality and can be used for some very base purposes. And it's very specific about how this works. It lays out this clear three-step process of control. First, you capture believers with these faith products. Second, you process them by giving them a powerful, all-consuming mission. And finally, you instill in them a spirit of absolute, unquestioning devotion. And here is the absolutely crucial and frankly the tragic part. The sutra argues that this whole process, which is so often designed to create unity and purpose, actually ends up creating a perverse cycle. It takes what the source calls our inherent ignorance and blindness, and it weaponizes it to create, well, even more of the same. It traps people. This leads us to what the text says is the real root of the problem. You see, it isn't just about the flawed social systems out there. It's about a fundamental issue deep within the human mind itself. The source gives this a name, the human thinking function. You can think of it as our core mental operating system. It's our capacity for reason, for clarity, for true self-awareness. And the sutra says that the health and completeness of this one function is the single most important thing for our growth. For all of us. And when that function is unhealthy, when it's unsound, the consequences are just devastating. The text uses this very powerful, very chilling phrase, thought slaves. It suggests that people willingly give up their own mental freedom to become servants to an ideology or a group, each one serving their own master. And the stakes here, according to the sutra, they couldn't possibly be higher. This state of being thought slaves, all driven by this unsound thinking and blind group devotion, it leads to what it calls internecine fighting. Humanity at war with itself. And the ultimate danger of that? Total self-destruction. Now, this all sounds incredibly grim, I know. But the sutra is not just a diagnosis of our sickness. It's also a prescription. After laying out the problem in such stark terms, it proposes a solution. It offers a spiritual discipline designed to guide us, all of us, out of childhood and into maturity. The core of this discipline is a truly radical rethinking of what our organizations are for. The message is aimed at everyone, and it doesn't compromise. Whether you're talking about a religion, a political party, a nation, any group at all, the number one goal has to change. Just stop and think about this for a second. It demands that before any other goal, before profit, before power, before protecting its own interests, a group's first and most sacred duty is the sound health and completeness of the thinking function of its members. That is a complete reversal of how most of the world works today.
So what if we did it? What would a mature humanity even look like? The sutra doesn't leave us guessing. It concludes by painting this beautiful picture of the world that could be, once we finally step out of our long childhood.
And here, the choice is laid bare. It's humanity at a crossroads. On one path, we have the state of childhood. Endless fighting amongst ourselves, mental slavery, and pervasive ignorance. And on the other, well, on the other is the potential of adulthood. Harmony, healthy minds, and a kind of rapid, meaningful progress we can barely imagine.
And these are the fruits of that maturity, the rewards that the text promises us. By finally focusing on our inner health, we achieve these incredible outer results. Real harmony between people, real peace between our warring tribes, and a great leap forward for our entire civilization as we all together step out of our childhood.
So in the end, the new Source Heart Sutra doesn't claim to be a final answer. It offers a discipline, and it offers a choice. It gives us a mirror to look at our enduring childhood, and it points to a very demanding path toward maturity. And it leaves us, you and me, with perhaps the most important question of all. Are we willing to do the work to finally grow up?